Joining us now is attorney Ron Safer. His law firm partner, Judge Holmes, was appointed special prosecutor and charged 3 officers for covering up Van Dyke's crime. He also served as criminal chief of the U.S. Attorney's Office. Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you.
So the Fed said if the FBI was on this in the beginning. So whatever happened to that?
Nothing. And to some extent, that's not inappropriate. I mean, what the federal government investigated was excessive force charges. Well, a murder charge was brought, and that's the most serious charge that could be brought. And so the Fed stood down on that charge.
So is this common for, once a person served their sentence that, someone requests that the federal government try and bring charges of their own? Is there a chance of that still happening?
I think it is. There's very, very little chance of it happening. And as unsatisfying as it is, it probably would not be the right thing to do. The process ran its course. He was charged with the most serious crime there was. He was convicted of second-degree murder. He was sentenced. Now, I don't think, I was going to say anybody, very, very few people think that that was an adequate sentence. And because of the quirk in the law that the judge took advantage of, it's sentencing him on the murder charge, not the aggravated battery charge, he only served a fraction of that sentence. Totally unsatisfying. On the other hand, the process ran its course. If we were to start to re-indict people for other crimes because we felt dissatisfied with the process, not because, like in the civil rights cases in the past in the South, we felt that it was clear that the process was infected by racism. The process was unfair. That's not this. The process was fair. We weren't satisfied with the result. If we were to start to re-prosecute people for crimes like that, that's a dangerous precedent.
But if there's a motivation there that was racial, does that open it to a civil rights situation? And the second part of that question is politics somehow involved one way or the other, whether we're talking Cook County or the federal government?
Great, both great questions. Yes, the racial aspect of it absolutely makes it a civil rights crime. So the federal government could have charged a civil rights crime, and they chose not to. They chose to yield to the state. Now, there was a crime that I believe should have been charged by the federal government, and that is a conspiracy to cover up, which Van Dyke and other officers engaged in. And until we stop that, there are not going to be reforms in the police department. Your second question. I firmly believe that politics did not affect and do not affect the decisions of this U.S. Attorney's Office. Neither Zach Farden nor John Lausch are affected by politics. They and their line assistants do what they believe is right, not what they believe is politically sound.
All right, Attorney Ron Safer, we appreciate you joining us this morning.
Thanks, Ron.
Pleasure.
7:30.